What's up, everyone? So for this video, I will be talking about the best, or I don't know if I'd say the best guitar to buy for beginners, but I will be talking about some recommendations for beginners for what guitar they want to choose. I'll go over different models, price range, and why I recommend them. Okay. Okay. So as a beginner, to buy a pretty decent guitar that would be a good choice. Would be a good choice after you've made it from beginner to maybe in the intermediate stage. I would say you probably have to spend $700 to $800 for a pretty decent guitar in most brands. Now it's not like you have to spend $700 to $800. There are brands that have probably decent in the 500 range, but I really would recommend the 700 to 800 range. You might have to. That's really a decent guitar, but hey, you can get a cheaper one. So if you were to spend, let's say, the $500 range, Fender has like Stratocasters and Telecasters in that range that are pretty good. But they're okay, good for beginners, but not the guitar you want forever. If I were to recommend, let's say, 700 to 800 price range, Fender, they have good guitars, Strats, Tellies for that, but PRS, which is known for their quality and workmanship, I'll probably recommend them. That would be one of my recommendations. Would be a PRS in the 700 to 800 range or Fender. Now the downside about Les Paul is like this one. This is a custom shop, so it's very expensive. But if you wanted to get just a standard Les Paul standard, that costs like $2,500 or more. So you can't find one in the. You can get an Epiphone in like the 700 to 800 price range, but I really wouldn't recommend that because if you wanted to get a Gibson, you're gonna have to get at least a Gibson's Les Paul standard because I don't think the Epiphones are all that great. And for the money you spend on there, I'd recommend a Fender PRS. Now, if we're talking strictly like 800 price range, I would definitely say PRS has solid guitars, and then Fender has pretty good guitars. If you like that kind of Fender thing, like a Stratocaster. If you wanted to do up to 15, like to 1600, Fender has some pretty damn good Strats and Tellys in that range too. And PRS has great guitars in that range too. So I guess what I'm saying is the two brands I recommend in that price range for a beginner is a Fender or PRS. Now I wouldn't Les Paul. You have to spend over $2,500, so that's not exactly like the price range for beginner guitars, but I recommend PRS or Fender brand. The thing about Fender, like a Strat, they have 3 single coils. They're good for rock, blues. PRS guitars, they do the same thing. They can do blues, rock, jazz, whatever. The Fender can do jazz too, actually. Strat or Telly, you can definitely do jazz. Now, Telly would be maybe better because they're extremely versatile. So that's definitely a recommendation that I have is a Telly because they're very versatile. But overall, I would say you could get a good guitar at 500 with Fender or PRS, but I would really recommend spending around the 800 range for PRS or Fender. And let's see, if you have the money, I would go up to like the Fender. What's it called? I think the Fender Player. It's called, or the Fender Professional something. And those are really good too, but they're like the $1,500 range. But I recommend those. If you really like Les Paul, you have the money to get a standard or more, or a higher model if you have the money. But if you have like 500 to 800 range, I would definitely recommend PRS or Fender. So those are my recommendations. They can cover pretty much all genres you can think of. Well, the other thing is if you play metal, you might have to get a different guitar. PRSs could probably do metal, but I would recommend like a Ibanez or a Schecter or like one of those models for like if you do really metal. Because all the guitars I mentioned are really better for rock, blues, and jazz, and hard rock, and not exactly metal. So those are my recommendations.